Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Dan the Tutor, on a mission to become the world's greatest tutor. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to solve equations that have square roots in them. So for instance, I'm talking about problems like this. Square root of x plus 4 equals 4, and I want to solve for x. So the short answer is, all you have to do with square root questions like this is you have to square both sides and then solve like normal. But I will say there's a note, and I want to say this now so I don't forget later. After you get your answer, you need to check for extraneous solutions. These are simply fake solutions that don't actually work, and I'll tell you how to find those in about a minute. So like we said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to square both sides. We love squaring both sides with the square root because it simply cancels, leaving you with whatever's on the inside of the square root. That always just happens. And then on the right side, 4 squared, that's just 16. So then to solve for x, this one's very easy. I just subtract 4 from both sides, and we'll get x equals 12. Now before I circle that as my final answer, I do have to check if that's an extraneous solution. The way we do that is I just literally plug in 12 into the original problem, and I need to make sure that these sides are equal. And 12 plus 4 is 16, and the square root of 16 is 4, so check. It looks like x equals 12 is my solution. And if hypothetically it didn't work, because let's just say sometimes this is negative 4 here, and the check failed, so when the check fails and it is an extraneous solution, you would just write no solution, and that'd be your answer. So that's it for the first one, but now let's make it a little bit more tricky. This time I have square root of 2x plus 3 equals x. So we start out by doing the exact same thing. I am going to square both sides. The square and the square root cancel, leaving me with 2x plus 3. And on the right, x squared is literally going to be x squared. So now I have to solve for x. As soon as I see x squared, I should be thinking this is quadratic. I should be thinking about factoring. But that of course means I got to set this equal to 0. So I am subtracting 2x and 3 from both sides, giving me 0 equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. And then we got to factor this. There's only one pair of factors for 3. It's 1 and 3. So it is going to be 0 equals x minus 3 times x plus 1, giving me the solutions x equals positive 3 and negative 1. And again, I got to check if these are extraneous solutions or not. So first we'll check x equals 3. So that's square root of 2 times 3. Plus 3, and does that in fact equal x, which is 3? 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9. So square root of 9 does in fact equal 3. Check mark, we're good for the first one. And it is possible that both solutions work, both solutions don't work, or we get 1 and 1. So let's see what happens here when we check negative 1. It's going to be the square root of 2 times negative 1 plus 1, and does that equal negative 1 for the right side? So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2 plus 1 gives me square root of negative 1. And I cannot take the square root of negative numbers, so this one does not work. Negative 1 is an extraneous solution. So in other words, my final answer is only x equals 3, and that's it. Okay, and now we just have one more for today. This is going to be the hardest example, and I'm going to walk us through it because it's pretty difficult. I want to solve for x for this one. So the problem with this is I don't want to square both sides because the square root has this minus 5 at the end of it. So the first thing I should do is I should add 5 to both sides, giving me square root of 16x plus 1 equals 2x plus 5. Looks good. Okay, now I can square both sides. But even when I do that, I got to be careful. It's what we've been doing all day. Square root and squared cancel. I'm left with 16x plus 1. On the right side, 2x plus 5 squared is not as simple as squaring 2x and then squaring 5. I actually have to FOIL it out. 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5. And when I do that, the right side's going to be 4x squared plus 10x plus another 10x plus 25. So simplifying the right side, we get 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. And again, as soon as I see the x squared, I'm thinking I gotta set this equal to 0 and factor. So that means subtracting 16x and subtracting 1 from both sides. That's going to be 0 equals 4x squared plus 4x plus 24. Now, one thing I can do is, since everything's divisible by 4, I can factor out a 4 or divide out a 4 here. And that would leave me with x squared plus x plus 6. However, be careful because this does not factor because it's plus 6. If this were minus 6, I could say x plus 3, x minus 2. But since it's plus 6, this cannot be factored, which means the only way I can solve this is our favorite thing in the world. That's right, quadratic formula. So quadratic formula here, the setup is a is the 1 in front of the x squared, b is the 1 in front of the x, and c is the 6 all on its own. And as I'm sure we all remember, quadratic formula says x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So then plugging that in here, it's going to be negative 1 plus or minus 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6, all divided by 2 times 1. Just looking under the square root part, that's going to simplify to 1 minus 24, which is negative 23. And since I cannot have the square root of a negative number, it means that this one is going to be no solution. I don't even need to check for extraneous solutions. The answer is just no solution for that one. Okay, and that's all the problems I have for us today. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.